Welcome back to the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja. Still on the judiciary, the Federal High Court in Abuja has expressed doubt about the claim of ill health by the former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Osinbajo. Justice OConnor expressed his reservations while delivering a ruling on an application filed by Mr. Metu seeking the release of his passport to enable him travel abroad to treat a spinal cord ailment. The judge questioned why Metu had not appealed the two earlier decisions of the court that refused to release his international passport. He voiced his suspicions that there might be a hidden agenda by the politician to present the court as inhuman by filing the same application before the trial court a third time rather than going on appeal. Justice Abang agreed that the arguments of the prosecution that filing the application for a third time was an unpardonable and reckless abuse of judicial processes. He concluded by saying he cannot sit an appeal over his own judgment, having already refused an application for the release of Metu's passport twice. Away from the judiciary, the African Land Forces Summit, hosted by the Nigerian Army, has come to an end in Abuja. The summit, co-hosted by the United States, is the sixth of its kind and brought together military top brass across Africa for a dialogue on the security challenges faced in the continent and boost cooperation between these countries to combat the situation. The theme for this year is Unity is Strength, combating Africa's security challenges in the 21st century and beyond. Kayla Megwa has this report.
Africa has been plagued by terrorism for some time now, costing the continent billions of dollars and millions of lives. Al-Shabaab, which is based in Somalia, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, with influence across northern and Sahelian Africa, and Boko Haram, that has waged a bloody campaign against the Nigerian state since 2010. These are just some of the known terrorist groups that have become the nightmare of African leaders. The commitment to make security on the African continent a priority is one of the many reasons for the African Land Forces Summit, and the American ambassador to Nigeria, as well as the commanding general, United States Army Africa Division, expressed this commitment.
I am utterly convinced that the future of freedom and of free peoples in the world depends on the future of Africa. And the youth of this continent will drive hope and expectation, opportunity and creation.
You all do great work executing many complex and difficult missions on the continent. The U.S. Army is very proud to stand with you in ensuring Africa has the brightest future possible.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff, while reeling out the achievements recorded so far in the war against terror, stated that the actions of the military in the country will be aided by international best practices.
I join the objective to understand the objectives of the focus of the United States of America at bringing about security, stability, and indeed, by implication, prosperity to the continent.
It is my humble view that there are lots of lessons to be learned from the Nigerian experience. I therefore implore all stakeholders and participants at this summit to learn from the strategies the Nigerian Army has adopted to curb the menace of terrorism, insurgency, and violent extremist organizations.
The summit was attended by land force chiefs from 40 countries in Africa, hoping to boost cooperation between them to drastically reduce, if not put an end, to terrorism on the continent. The impact this meeting has had on security across the continent will be seen when the next edition holds in Botswana next year. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
More than 257 deaths have been recorded in 30 different incidents in the last 2 months across the country. The permanent secretary in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Suleiman Haliru, disclosed this at a federal and state security administrators meeting in Katsina State, where participants have been discussing ways to prefer solutions to the security challenges facing the country. He says security forces cannot do much without the support of the political leadership and traditional institutions.
The inception of the present administration, armed banditry, cattle rustling, and other related crimes have been our major security challenges in Katsina State. From 2011 to 2015, the state witnessed an upsurge in the menace of cattle rustling and the armed banditry, which resulted into colossal loss of lives and property. Displaced so many people in our rural areas, almost made farming impossible, and ultimately brought serious economic setback to the state. Cattle rustling and armed banditry have drastically reduced to the barest minimum in the state, and the normalcy in the relative peace have returned to the 8 number of frontline local government areas.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Linda. A former Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Engineer Vincent Maduka, is asking Nigerian journalists to shun the practice of financial inducement, also called the brown envelope syndrome. Engineer Maduka gave this advice today at the 5th Convocation Lecture of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism in Lagos. The former NTA boss explains that the brown envelope syndrome is an alien concept that erupted from a parliamentary scandal in the United Kingdom, and such practice must be condemned in Nigeria.
The media will need to look at responsiveness.
An array of Nigeria's media icons under one roof tells that it's a highly symbolic moment for the journalism profession. As the Nigerian Institute of Journalism organizes its 5th Convocation Lecture, the theme, Nigeria, Value Reorientation and the Media, raises some of the biggest challenges facing the journalism profession.
Media industry is not a money minting industry. You just to have the passion of courage, the passion to speak truth to power, and the passion and the spirit to live within your means.
It's time for the guest speaker, Nigeria's former Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Engineer Vincent Maduka. He believes while government has a responsibility creating the right value system, the media should adopt social market in promoting positive orientation.
Taking brown envelope is not good, but what can we do? No, let's start by saying it is wrong. If we don't say it is wrong, we'll not do anything about it. So Nigerian values have been corrupted, maybe we're demanding what we don't expect to have.
Engineer Vincent Maduka and some other veteran journalists were also recognized with merit awards for their distinguished contributions to the journalism profession. As Nigeria inches close to another political transition, Engineer Maduka urges Nigerians to exercise their voting power by voting in the right leaders.
An election without genuine votes is a joke. Then, how do we say it? Keep your eyes sharp to make sure that we have a credible election.
After all said, the next move is to walk the talk, as journalists are being called upon to be watchdogs and agents of positive transformation of the society.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has promised that the federal government will partner with the private sector and technology entrepreneurs to develop the technology sector. He made this known during a tour of Africa Fintech Foundry in Lagos, owned and controlled by Access Bank.
It's a sunny afternoon and everyone at Africa Fintech Foundry is ready for the august visitor, the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He's on a tour of some technology hubs in Lagos State, and Africa Fintech Foundry Lagos, owned and controlled by Axis Bank, is one of his stops. As he arrives, a warm handshake and an introduction by the chairman of Axis Bank, Osinbajo Olusoga. Then he's taken around the premises to see firsthand what Africa Fintech Foundry is all about.
Our target is to activate 35 million new customers in the next 5 years, leveraging on technology and enabling access to a broad range of financial services such as payments, savings, remittances, and credit at affordable costs.
As long as you have access to a phone, then you can actually gain services. You can check your balance, you can move money from your wallet, you can pay people, you can actually buy airtime and do more.
The Vice President asked Nigerians, especially the youth, to look inwards and begin to do things creatively with innovation in mind.
There's no question at all that the future of our country will depend a great deal on the creativity and innovation of the people that we're seeing today. And already, just hearing the stories, it's so obvious that this is what is going to be the toast of our nation in the next couple of years. So we're really excited to be here, to see what you're doing, and to say that we fully support all of the efforts, and we're trying to create some partnership between the government and all of those who are interested in developing this ecosystem.
Aligned with global best practices, Africa Fintech is aimed at providing financial services with technology while enabling the unserved Nigerians.
All right, let's take a look at some business news. Here's Kayode Okikiolu.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Ijeoma, and welcome to Business News. The International Monetary Fund and World Bank have asked member states and nations, I should say, to brace up for unforeseen economic challenges as it pegs global growth rate at 3.9%. The executives of IMF, Ms. Christine Lagarde, as well as World Bank's President Jim-Yong Kim, made this point known at the ongoing spring meetings in Washington. Our business correspondent, Chimeze Obiwagu, reports.
The past 4 days have been a very busy one for delegates at this meeting as talks on how to move the global economy top the agenda. With the release of the World Economic Outlook and the Global Financial Stability Report, the IMF and the World Bank chiefs are now set to speak.
Countries in debt distress doubled to 40% in the last.
The IMF Director General Christine Lagarde was first to speak. She maintains that the near-term prospects for the global economy continues to be bright, but says that while the sun is shining, there are clouds accumulating on the horizon. She advises policymakers to fix the roof while the sun shines.
First, structural reforms. Second, build policy buffers. In other words, create more room to act when the next downturn comes around. How do they do that? By reducing government deficits in a growth-friendly way and by allowing more exchange rate flexibility where appropriate. And third, policy, steer clear of all protectionism measures.
And then comes Jim-Yong Kim of the World Bank.
This period of robust growth is a great opportunity to invest in human and physical capital, filling infrastructure gaps, improving education and health outcomes, and increasing female labor force participation could continue to drive growth. If policymakers around the world focus on these key initiatives, they can increase their country's productivity, boost workforce participation, and move closer to the goals of ending extreme poverty and increasing shared prosperity.
Investing in human capital is one key area the World Bank has continued to focus on. The bank is now set to release an index to rank countries according to how well they are invested in human capital of the next generation. Chimeze Obiwagu, Channels Television News.
Thank you, Chimezie. Now, by interest in Dangote Cement, Nigeria's market leader by capitalization, padded the all-share index today. Here's Bisi Adebayo with more details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equity market returned some 25 basis points of gains on Thursday as the impact of the positive sentiment on Dangote Cement rubbed off not only on the industrial goods indices but also on the key benchmark index. Over 740 million units of shares were traded in 5,554 deals, with a mix of sectors represented on the top trade list. Despite the positive sentiment of the day, market breadth was negative, with Owando sustaining its foremost position and coming ahead of 17 other advancers. However, investors sold off on First Aluminium, Mobil Oil and FCMB on absence of a driving force, leaving room for bargain hunting and more of price correction. That's it on the Stock Market Report. I am Bisi Adebayo.
Thank you, Bisi. Now, trading across global markets on Thursday returned unevenly as investors watch out for rising interest rates. And that's Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Kayode Okikiolo. It's now back to Ijeoma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks, Kayode. Still ahead on the news at 10, referees begin training with the contentious video assistant referee technology ahead of the 2018 World Cup in Russia in June. That's on Sports News. Please stay with us.